More now on our breaking news coming in. There's a report of a shooting at a church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. CNN is reporting the shooter is deceased. We have not been able to confirm that, nor have we received any details on the number of people that may have been shot. We're hearing reports as many as 20 people have been injured. Now, according to the City of Minneapolis, there is no active threat to the community at this time. The shooter is deceased. There are reports from a self-inflicted wound. We don't have confirmation of that yet. President Trump has been briefed. That's according to a post he put out on Truth Social. He's saying he's monitoring the situation. Also says that federal agents, FBI, were quick on the scene. Pam Bondi confirming that information, saying as soon as they heard, they sent FBI and ATF forces to that area. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz posted this statement on X just a short time ago. He said, "I've been briefed on a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School and will continue to provide updates as we get more information. The BCA and State Patrol are on scene. I'm praying for our kids and teachers whose first week of school was marred by this horrific act of violence." School did start on Monday, and we understand from reports on the scene that the children were in mass at the time of the shooting. Also reports saying that the shooter was a man wearing all black, and he was carrying a rifle. A reunification area has been set up outside of the school where parents and students can find each other. Many understandably concerned parents on the scene there. Minnesota Mayor Jacob Frey also saying that he's in close contact with the emergency response team and a local hospital with a level 1 trauma center. Level 1 means they treat the most emergent situations like gunshot wounds, bad traffic accidents. Oftentimes wounded are airlifted to level 1 hospitals. The trauma center, the training that they have, there are designated level 1 hospitals around the country that are situated just for a situation like this, and they said that they are working with an emergency situation there. I want to bring in Scripps News investigative reporter Patrick Terpstra, who's live in Washington monitoring this for us. And Patrick, what have you learned about what's happening on the ground there?
Well, Holly, we know that the call for help came in at 8:37 a.m. local time, and that a mass had been held at 8:15 a.m. at this Catholic school and church. Looking at these live images, we've also seen some children walking with adults away from the scene, and honestly, not a whole lot of action from this vantage point. Important to realize, of course, that this is just one camera angle, but we have not seen people running from the school. We've not seen a huge amount of law enforcement presence. But according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, they've been covering this all morning from the ground there, they have witnesses that heard a lot of gunfire being exchanged, again around 8:37 a.m. local time. One of the questions always, of course, in the minutes after anything like this happens is exactly how much damage was done, how many people were injured or even killed, and we just don't have the answers to that yet. We know as soon as this happened, in the minutes thereafter, you had mentioned the Minneapolis mayor. He went on social media to say that this was a horrific act of violence. Star-Tribune saying that as all of this unfolded, there were people inside that mass, but there are some questions about whether the gunman, again, who we're reporting now is deceased, was on the inside of one of the buildings of the school or shooting from the outside. Either way, just looking at these images, you can tell that the situation appears to be contained, but we are still awaiting official word on exactly what has happened both to the shooter and to the victims. As you see there on our screen, a local hospital says that it is treating some 5 injured children, but we have not seen video of ambulances leaving the scene and helicopters landing as we have for some of these other mass shootings. So it is unclear exactly how grave the situation is right now. So difficult to simply have to wait to find out more information. Of course, parents are going to be very curious and very deeply concerned about what's been happening here, especially those that have the kids that might have been at that mass. That reunification center is set up. Now we wait for more answers, Holly.
And Patrick, we know that this has come off of a string of deadly shootings in the past 24 hours. 3 deadly shootings, 3 other fatal shootings in Minneapolis in 24 hours. 7 people were shot outside of a Catholic high school yesterday. And also a shooter opened fire in broad daylight on a sidewalk, killing 1 person and injuring 6, all within a span of 24 hours. And I know that Richfield Police Department's officers are reporting they're saying at least 20 victims. We have not been able to confirm that yet, whether they are students or teachers. And this area is in South Minneapolis, south of the downtown area. And just to give you a sense of what that area is like, there's I guess you could say diverse neighborhoods. They have been part of a recent gentrification project, also known as a hub for immigrants. There's a large Somali community there, and it's actually very historic. The first settlers in that area that called Minnesota home settled in what is now known as Lake Calhoun in that area. So as you can see, lovely neighborhood there, but definitely now a home for many of the Minneapolis and Minnesota immigrant community. We're still waiting word. We hear there will be a press conference in about 9 minutes from now from police there, from officials to give us an update. We know this school, the Annunciation Church Catholic School, was kindergarten through 8th grade. Those were the students that had just gone back to school on Monday. This was their first week of school. And Patrick, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area or not, or what's around that area or Minneapolis. We know that Senator Amy Klobuchar also sending her thoughts and just said she's horrified and monitoring the situation as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, this was the first week of school, and this is every parent's worst nightmare. And of course, these incidents can happen anywhere, whether they're a big city, we've seen them now in rural areas, all over the map these occur. And unfortunately, we have just become so used to seeing these images of yellow police tape surrounding a school. The good news is, of course, if there's anything that has been learned from these, is that there are preparations that are made, that these schools now have lockdown drills for better or for worse. Teachers, students, principals, they know what to do when there is an active threat like this. So as we await that news conference in 7 minutes, we're going to hear exactly, hopefully, what happened as this event unfolded. Were they able to quickly contain the shooter? It does sound like that did happen, that the shooter is indeed deceased. But of course, anytime you see these images, people just want to reunify so quickly with their children. In the minutes after this happened, we saw local officials setting up that reunification center and really kicking into action their active shooter plan here. So it could be that we find out in 7 minutes or a little bit longer that there aren't as many fatalities and injuries perhaps as we might be fearing. But it is just so difficult to know until those authorities do say what it is that they know and the current state of affairs down there. This was a school, pre-K through 8th grade. These are very young children gathering for Mass at 8:15 in the morning. And one of the questions is going to be where the shooting happened. Again, according to the Star Tribune, Minneapolis Star Tribune, an exchange of gunshots was heard. But how long did that go on? How much damage was actually done? Local hospital there treating 5 injured children, and they apparently were able to get on the scene relatively quickly. And just seeing these live images can be so telling as well. Other school shootings that we've covered, we see much more police presence. We see helicopters in the air, children running out of buildings. We have not seen that here. So we don't know what that means. We don't have any concrete evidence right now of any sort of death count. out any sort of injuries, but it is something that authorities are going to have to brief us on. And so as we wait, we look at these images, we try to find out exactly what might be going on, but at this time, still so many questions, Holly.
And Patrick, you know, Minneapolis, Minnesota, not immune to tragedy. Remember, recently, State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband and their dog were killed not too long ago. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were injured. So this is something that Minneapolis is seeing all over again. And as we mentioned, President Trump monitoring the situation, as is Attorney General Pam Bondi and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.